Great. You are beautiful. Look at you, full room of people. Let's give another shout out, please, to Janny, who just is such an inspiration and reminds us about why we do what we do, why we stay together as a community, why we come back here every year, and why we keep doing the work in the trenches day after day. Because it really matters. It makes a difference in our lives and our communities, and we have to be that hope for the next generation. So thank you for your story. And now is such a time when we need these stories, we need inspiration. There's so much darkness, there's so much gloom, there's so much fear about what's ahead. So now's the moment in our session where we get to celebrate. We get to celebrate what together we accomplished and what more we can accomplish together in the future. I'm going to start with the punchline. This is what we won in the Bay Area. We put 3 affordable housing funding measures on the ballot in November 16, and voters said yes, and we won $2 billion for those 3 counties. This came along a win that happened in San Francisco, another housing bond that passed in November 2015. And these measures won alongside the LA County measure that won also at the same time, as well as other local measures. All told, these counties stood up and said, we say yes for affordable housing. So I want to take a moment. This is a participatory part of the session. So I want you to stand and wave if you were any part of these ballot measures that took place where we won funding for affordable housing. Stand and wave if you contributed money, if you raised money, if you volunteered, if you engaged your residents, your staff, if you attended hearings, if you told your story, if you had a picture taken of you in the paper, if you handed out materials, hung signs, how many of you went door to door and knocked on doors or handed out literature? How many of you made phone calls? This is what democracy looks like. We have to get engaged. We can build amazing buildings and amazing communities, but if we do not harness the power in those communities, we will not continue to win. We have a taste of winning, what it looks like and what it feels like, and we are on a roll, and we need to continue to win. And that means continuing to stay engaged and organized and building power. I'm going to talk about a little bit what this truly collective and historic effort looked like. So how did we get there? Well, folks, it took a lot of work, right? It didn't just happen. We started early. We did our research. We identified what was the right mechanism, what was going to win at the ballot, what was going to achieve substantial money to make a difference. What was the data that we needed to make our decisions? And then we at NPH launched a political program, hiring Sharon Cornu at the helm to help us, to work with us, to engage residents, stakeholders, elected officials, coalition partners, and community members to create campaigns that would win. And what it boiled down to was bold leadership who stepped forward to say, yes, we're going to try something new, we're going to do things a little bit differently, and we're going to take the risk and make it work. How many, can you raise your hand, please, if you've been on the board of the NPH Board of Directors? Now, last year, the year before, or any time when you were part of this bold decision-making that said, we can't keep banging our head against the wall and doing the same thing, we got to do something different. Please wave and thank the NPH Board of Directors for their bold leadership to invest in this new strategy. So a turning point in our elections came when we, NPH and EPO, sat down with Wilma Chan, the supervisor of Alameda County, and approached her with this idea, and she said, yes, now's the moment to do it, and I want to do it with you. And then we did the polling, and we found that voters said yes. We could achieve that 2/3 level of support and make a bond work in Alameda County. We went around and around and around in Santa Clara County and finally found the right path. Working with SV at Home and Supervisor Cindy Chavez, we found a way for voters to support above the 2/3 level a bond in Santa Clara County. And San Mateo County, we kept working there too. They were not going to be bested, and they were going to get on the momentum train with HLC and NPH, and Supervisor Don Horsley said, yes, we're going to make it work, and we chose there what voters said they would do in the polling, which was a sales tax extension. So finding the right path for the right community at the right time with the right champions and the best partners. And that's what we did. And then our measures were placed unanimously on the ballots by these 3 boards of supervisors. How many times are affordable housing measures locally voted on with unanimous support? Not always, but this time we built that support, resident story by resident story and testimony by testimony, and poll after poll that showed that this is what voters care about. This is a top priority for voters. So thank you, Jenny. Factors of our success. We built community consensus at a time when the crisis took on a new urgency, and we needed to find big solutions. We built the coalitions knowing that we couldn't go alone. We had to hold hands and have those political relationships, have that regional strategy, and build on local expertise. We crafted messaging. This is important. I want to make sure you pick up your ears on this one. We figured out how to talk to voters in a way that would get a yes. We didn't just talk about money and the mechanisms. We talked about the people that were going to be helped. We talked about the need that we were going to solve. We talked about solutions and results, not mechanisms and dollar signs. We raised the funding to have well-resourced campaigns. So we knew if we were going to do this, we were going to go for it and go bold. We were going to make sure that those campaigns had everything that they needed to reach out to voters, to build the power, to build the momentum that we needed, to have the offices, to have the field staff. And we needed our members to step up and step up big. And I want to recognize Mary Murtaugh from EAH. I'm not sure if she's here in the room. She was one of the first to step up, and she threw down the gauntlet. She said, I'm setting the bar high for what we can do to these campaigns. And then others stepped up, and everyone kept coming to the table and coming to the table. And our affordable housing community blew everyone out of the water, including us, about what we were able to raise to make this happen. When we came together, we made it work. And it wasn't there were 3 measures that we had to skimp to go around. It was we had 3 measures we had to go even farther and harder and faster and more than we did before. We were going to win with a big regional strategy. And again, I want you to pay attention to this, please. We engaged residents and staff. We carried out voter registration and mobilization in 7 different languages. We got smart and wonky about voter data. We invested in the theory that affordable housing residents could be the margin of victory, especially in 2/3 votes where every vote counts. And in fact, in Santa Clara County, our 8,000 affordable housing resident voters may have just been the margin of victory in Santa Clara County. So the bottom line is that timing matters. We started early, including with fundraising. We got out front, we built the momentum and the confidence that we needed for these campaigns to be successful. We conducted several rounds of polling to understand how voters understand our issue. We built our efforts on extensive public information activities so that we could achieve community consensus, that we were meeting people where the need was. And our elected officials were our champions to incorporate opinions, diverse opinions out there, and make sure that we avoided any organized opposition, that we headed that off at the pass, which is a critical tactic for 2/3 measures. So what's next? We're not just going to stop here. We're going to keep building our momentum. What we learned, affordable housing residents can be an electoral bloc that can be activated for ongoing advocacy efforts after the campaign, that civic engagement, voter registration, and education really matters. We see this now more than ever, that our democracy depends on this, on being human, on telling stories, on talking to people, on galvanizing people around our issues. And what's our call to action? We have to build on this. We're going to build on this with our legislative wins this year in Sacramento. We're going to find out what measures we can put on the ballot next year and in 2020. And we are going to figure out how we can be a driving issue in the gubernatorial campaign next year, and in the campaigns and issues and everything that we face nationally. We need to be that beacon of hope. We need to be that state that tells the country what we really care about and what we really stand for is people and inclusive communities and thriving communities, and affordable housing is the foundation for all of that. Thank you so much for the hard work you do every day, and I look forward to winning with you.